Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Not even NASA can rightfully explain what people just found in this photo taken by the Curiosity rover on the surface of Mars. At first glance, you'd probably miss it, but zoom into just the right spot, and it's there. Standing out from its surroundings, we see a distinct, smooth, round, shiny, metallic object that appears to be floating through the air, and we can even see its shadow beneath it. People are calling it the Tic Tac UAP on Mars, which does look exactly like a lot of the UFOs we've been hearing about and the military's been reporting on here on Earth. Navy pilots have literally used the exact words Tic Tac UAP to describe them, and well, if that ain't a Tic Tac, I don't know what is. This photo is from the Mars Curiosity rover taken on March 3rd, 2020, so we were probably a little preoccupied with something else when this first came out. And as always, yes, it's on NASA's official website. Here we even have an AI checker that tells us it's definitely not altered or AI generated. Strangely too, NASA allegedly removed the original color image from their website and now only have this black and white one up. But if you know where to zoom in, you'll find that Tic Tac exactly where it's supposed to be. Skeptics argue that it's a rock formation or some photography error, but man, it looks exactly like the UAPs that have been reported here on Earth. And if these spacecraft really are as advanced as we claim they are, then there really is nothing stopping them from visiting other planets too.
It's kind of crazy that with all this uptick in UFO activity and people taking photos and videos of this stuff over the last couple of years, that we finally get our first clear image of one of these Tic Tacs, and it's taken by the Curiosity rover. I still don't buy that that's a photo of Mars. I'm still convinced they're just color grading photos that they took from the Mars rover testing site here on Earth. I've just seen too many examples of them giving us photos that they say are from Mars, and then we turn around and find the exact identical location here on Earth. I know I am super suspicious of anything that comes out of NASA, but I think this is just them trying to make it look like these beings are off planet. I think this was released intentionally to confuse the population. I could be wrong, and this could be a legitimate photo of a Tic Tac UFO taken on the surface of Mars. But I also know if they didn't want us to see this, we wouldn't have seen it. I just can't help but feel like this was released to fuel the alien narrative.
I'm about to show you one of the most terrifying photographs you've ever. So if you're easily frightened, do not watch this. A friend of mine lives in Chicago, and she and her husband thought that they had a family of raccoons living in their attic because they kept hearing all of these sounds upstairs above their bedroom. So they continued calling their landlord, kept reporting it, kept saying, hey, we've got an infestation of rodents or raccoons or something in our attic, and you guys need to come and get it taken care of. The landlord kept putting them off and kept saying, you know, we're really busy, we can't get there. So the sounds would come and go. Sometimes it would be quiet up there, sometimes it would be really loud. One day my friend is home alone, her husband's out of town, and the sounds are particularly bad, worse than they've ever been before. And she's sitting there and she's like, what is going on? Like, what could like there must be a million raccoons up in my attic. And so she decides to pull the access stairs down from the ceiling, and she's too frightened to go all the way up into the attic because the light that's up there is a cord light and it's a little ways, so she doesn't want to go into the attic, thinking it might be unsafe. So she just crawls up 4 or 5 stairs and just sticks her arm up into the attic and just snaps a photograph. She pulls her phone down to see what's actually living there. Warning. This is what is on her phone screen, staring back at her. He was 7 feet away from her when she took this picture. And mind you, she was home alone. So, yeah. She called the police. She reported it. The police came. They found him. They also found a bunch of, you can't really see it, but right here, there's like a pile of her husband's clothes. He had been going into their house while they were out and taking things, personal effects, articles of clothing, toiletry items. So he had been there for a while. I'd pass away.
I had a feeling that I knew exactly where she was heading with this story the moment she said raccoons in the attic. I find this stuff far more troubling than videos of cabinet doors opening by themselves, or a light that just keeps flickering on and off. People panic whenever they think there's a ghost in the room with them because they don't know what to expect. They don't know what's going on, and they're worried they're going to get hurt. But this is the type of situation that justifies panic. If you find some homeless guy squatting in your attic, anyone who's crazy enough to make a decision like that that and actually go through with it is probably crazy in all of their decision-making processes, and you are probably in danger of things you aren't even considering. I have seen homeless people do some wild stuff, and you never know what move they're going to make next. This is terrifying. Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
Didn't think I'd forgotten about our little island, did you? Oh, no name unless you know it. None of the apps like it. You can't even find it, or Prince Edward Island. Need to Marion Island, and like Bouvet. Poof, from 2017 to 2022. On this app, there's a weather marker, so you can see what the temperature is by Bouvet Island. Oh, what's this marker? Remove me, version 3. Dev test spot? Another dev test spot? Remove me 22? I hope they're not doing testing by our island. By the way, this report from the US Army Research Center is investigating gravity anomalies by Marion Island and Bouvet Island. I'm sure I'm not the only one missing the blob. I guess it was just a glitch. Oh, by the way, venomous snakes have been washing up on the shores of South Africa. Apparently most uncommon. They say strong sea currents are pushing them into colder waters. Even 500 turtle hatchlings also washed up. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. See you in the comments. Take care.
Okay, so I looked this up on Google Earth myself. They have not removed Bouvet Island. It's still there, and it's a nice, crisp, highly detailed image of most of it. And the rest of it doesn't appear like they're trying to hide anything either. I'm going to show y'all an image that I screenshot off of there myself. Something that struck me, though, was the term on that government document she was showing that said free air gravity. I had to look that up, and based off of what free air gravity means, I think that document is easily understandable. Free air gravity is a way that scientists tweak different gravity measurements taken at different heights, like on a hill or in the sky, to pretend that there's no land messing with the pull, just the Earth's core. I think they're trying to check to see if there's something valuable under that island that they can extract, like rhodium or gold. However, I am not saying that there's nothing suspicious about any of that in that video.
Now, how many of you know about the object in Greenland? A couple of you, okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now. All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchored in the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago. It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. People that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula Great Pyramid at Mitsubishi, it ends up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of this dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago, they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85 foot people, full body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern, into the dampening field, when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it. And by testing, trying to get to these guys, they were able to bring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military Post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth to 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So it's pretty important what this thing is. All the nations worldwide are up there with the United Nations, and they're all acting, working together. Point is that we're not alone out here in this universe.
I've been seeing this video popping up for days, and I think I saw somewhere that it was from like 2018 or something. I tried to do research on this. I went to Google Earth and looked at Greenland, and it's a cloud of watercolor over 90% of the island. And oddly enough, if you're going to come up with a wild theory, this one has a couple of things going for it. It appears that they are trying to hide the interior of Greenland on Google Earth. And if you zoom out on it, as I'll show you here, it does kind of look like this island is almost the cause of the frost. It almost looks like the ice is radiating out onto the islands around it. I don't know though, it just sounds like too wild of a theory, I think. I'm gonna need a lot more than just the story of how they supposedly discovered it to convince me.
So I'm out here at the farm scouting for turkeys, and it's like between 6:55 and 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a good video of the sky. Is really pretty, the farm looks really pretty. And as I'm taking this video, the sky done something weird, like it glitched. And I wasn't looking through the phone, like I was scanning the field, but I was like looking at the field, and I seen the sky do it. And I was like, what the world? And I stopped the video, and I went back, and my phone caught it. I don't know what it is. It's weird, for sure. I'll show you guys a video. Check it out. Tell me what you think. It's kind of weird.
I'm not sure that I believe this video is legit. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is that's making it seem edited, but if this is fake, I don't think he got the idea for this out of thin air. I'm betting he's seen this before. I know I've personally seen this in the sky at least half a dozen times in the past 10 years. The first couple of times I saw it, it was more of a peripheral vision thing, so it was a lot easier to write it off. But every time I've seen it after that, I just happened to be looking up at the sky at the time. I'm just kind of shocked that there may be someone else out there that's seeing this as well. Every time it's ever happened to me, I just assumed that my eyes were malfunctioning. Now I'm wondering if I was actually witnessing a UFO whose camouflage was glitching or something.
We've showed before about how a lot of the gamer boys these days are starting to look real ape-like with these indents in their head. Now their hands are starting to be affected.
Oh, wow.
If you can see, the first comment up here is, of all the types of gaming you could mold your hands to, you chose a tablet. So this guy's not upset. This commenter is not upset that he molded his hands to a certain type of game, to a game. He's upset that the guy chose a tablet to mold his hands into. Not an Xbox, not PlayStation, you chose a tablet, which I'd say it's all dumb. But this guy's not upset about that. He's upset that he molded his hands to a tablet. It's like, yeah, I would have chosen Xbox. That's what we're choosing now. What game station you want to mold your hands to? It's just weird.
Every day I see another video that makes me feel like the intelligence of our species as a whole is dropping. There's no way that you've developed that condition without at least thinking long ago that there may be some sort of a problem. How long would you even have to keep your hands in that position to get them all deformed like that? It really does feel like some people's life experience must feel like they're living in the movie Idiocracy.
57 Valiant Thor landed in Virginia. That's a real story. He landed in 57. He did, in fact, get taken to the Pentagon by a sheriff's department. Very reckless. Very reckless. If it would have happened today, oh, everybody would know. Everybody would have saw it. But they knew that back then, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have all that. They didn't have a bunch of surveillance cameras. They could do what he did. So he did. And they took it to the Pentagon. And I also know that there was a psyche eval done. And that's what a lot of people, I don't think anybody's ever known that. There was a psyche eval done. And they wanted to know, was this guy crazy? Because he said he was an alien. Take me to the Pentagon. So they took him. But they said they took him under guard with a psych evaluation. And the psych evaluation came back inconclusive. They couldn't get the instruments to work. Whatever they were using, I don't know what it was, whatever they used back then. But they said it was inconclusive. They couldn't get the instruments to work. I remember that. So they decided to hear him out. And then after 36 hours, people think they just went straight to the White House. They did. It was between 35 and 40, but I'm just say 36 hours of interrogation, straight interrogation. They were convinced. And they said, we need to take this guy to Eisenhower. But really what they were doing was taking that guy to MJ-12. And Nixon was there. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Nixon's been there since Roswell. He's been involved in all of this. A lot of people don't know that. So they took him to the White House in 57, and he offered a deal. He said, listen, you can bring your entire civilization into the Galactic Federation of Light, and we will bring you in, and we will travel the galaxy with you. We will give you all this technology. We'll improve the technology you're currently working on with other species and civilizations. We know about it. But you have to do two things. One, you have to give up your nuclear weapons. Two, you have to be one government. Because one of the requirements for the thousands of civilizations that's already in the GFL is you have to reach a maturity level as a society socially. And what that is you have to put borders and petty differences to these guys. Otherwise, you're not mature enough to be part of it. So they said, or he said, you have to put down those borders. You have to become a one world government. And that is where all. So we told him, listen, we already have a contract with the civilization, and it's a 70-year contract. And if we break that, there's going to be problems. And we know there's going to be problems. We can't break it. We just can't. But what about when it runs out? And they spent 3 years negotiating. 3 years. Till 1960 when he left. And that 70-year contract was struck in 1954 with DTE-4 from the Rigel star system, type A, B, C, and D. There's 4 different types of grades from the Rigel star system. And that was 2,200 American citizens per year in exchange for technology. And the thing is, we ended up getting very close with ETE-2 without an abduction contract, and they're even more advanced. And they gave us all the gifts and technology, Bluetooth, flat screen, touch screen, all that came from that. Even text messaging came from reverse engineering their interstellar communications device, where you got to hit the same key over and over to circulate through the letter. That's where we had text messaging back in the late 90s on the little flip phones. That's where it came from. And all that, we never had to do. But by then, we as an MJ-12, decided, and through the Magi Committee, decided it would be a good idea to bring other species in and continue to cherry pick the best technology from all these civilizations, all these star sets, in exchange for United States citizens, and then through the U.S., citizens around the globe. It came over 22,500 citizens out of the United States every single year as of 2012. And that had been that already for a while. And worldwide, we're talking millions. A lot of people that go missing is part of that.
I've always found this to be a bit of a far-fetched story, but I've never heard it broken down this well before either. That being said, anytime I hear someone pushing the idea of a one-world government being a necessity, my alarm bells start going off. That little detail really makes me suspect that this whole thing may just be government propaganda. I'm betting that the government put this story out long ago for the conspiracy theorists to chew on and salivate over, and they'll come out at some point and try to reveal that the whole story's true. Then they're going to tell us that we all have to conform to a one-world government in order to appear mature enough to be able to play with the other planets. I'm not interested in that.
The most intelligent computer in the world, called Google's neural network. And it has a deep fake detector program that's never been wrong. You can feed it a video of Biden or Trump. It'll tell you in 1 second whether it's real or not. They fed it pictures of the surface of the moon from the unmanned Chinese probes from 2014. Said they're real. Every Apollo picture it said was fake. It had a fake backdrop. It was taken in a television studio. That's the most intelligent computer in the world who can understand the pixels. One of them, it suggested that this wasn't even a full-size lunar module, that it was a miniature. And that's how they were able to do wide landscapes, because one of the astronauts' figures, the AI said, was a miniature because the footsteps, shadows, weren't normal the way a person would walk, that they were stamped in there with a fake footprint.
More evidence. Y'all know I had to include it. I just can't help myself. I get as mad sometimes about the lies surrounding the moon landing as I do about pretty much anything else that the government has been hiding from us for decades. They need to tell us the truth and stop giving all of our money to NASA, who's then turning around and lying to us about what they're even using it for. They should just let private industry compete for space exploration. But then they wouldn't have so much control over the narrative. You gotta keep the lie going, I guess.
We can all agree that them Germans were up to no good. Near a small village in Poland lies the biggest, darkest secret from World War II. This is Die Glocke, also known as the Bell, a super top secret project of history's most hated political party. Disclaimer, I am in no way promoting nor glamorizing this evil party. This is simply information and a bit of speculation that exists on the internet. I'm just talking about it. But this highly classified technological device was rumored to be capable of doing things that are just impossible with our current understanding of science, and is said to have been made during one of Germany's biggest development booms in history, a time that German scientists and engineers were pumping out new inventions left and right. Things like night vision goggles, the Volkswagen Beetle, polyurethane, particle board wood, and even Fanta were all made by 1930s Germany. And they obviously also pioneered many weapons, missiles, and military technology that were groundbreaking for their time. A lot of their more classified projects were developed in top secret underground lairs, many of which have actually been uncovered. In fact, the US was so impressed with their technical expertise that they even poached a few of their country's top engineers after the end of the war in Operation Paperclip, where incriminating affiliation and war crimes committed by smart individuals were dismissed in order to let them gain citizenship and work in the States, bringing over 1,000 German scientists into the US, some of whom even led to the foundation of NASA, like Werner von Braun. Now, beyond just impressive weaponry and other technological leaps, the idea of supernatural wonder weapons was also popularized among the German party, with further rumors of them going out to search for ancient sites and artifacts that held secret powers beyond our understanding in the 1930s. Expeditions for the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the Spear of Destiny, and many confirmed missions to Antarctica to find who knows what down there. Even a quest to find Atlantis. These guys were obsessed with the occult and the alleged powers of our ancient past. Not surprisingly, they had a bunch of extremely highly classified projects that never saw the public eye, some of which were even revealed decades later, like in 2000, when Polish journalist Igor Witkowski writes about something that catches people's attention in his book Prawda o Wunderwaffe, The Truth of the Wonder Weapon, which he allegedly gathered from private discussions with wartime intelligence officers regarding highly classified documents from World War II. That would be Die Glocke, the Bell, Germany's take on creating their own wonder weapon, using what they've learned from their searches and study of the ancient past. It was shaped like a bell, about 12 to 14 feet tall, with two counter-rotating cylinders inside, filled with a special metallic liquid that was the main source of its power. This liquid was called Serum 525, aka Red Mercury. And the Red Mercury rabbit hole is honestly one of my recent favorites. It's pretty wacky, but I might have to dive into that one soon, so watch out for that. When this bell was activated, it would behave as a sort of UFO, moving around without a propulsion system, and even being able to create a radius of anti-gravity around it. It would allegedly also create a zone of effect around itself that made blood clot and plants die. Oh, and could also teleport people into different dimensions and travel through time, all in one. Obviously, it was a work in progress, otherwise they probably would have won the war, so we sure dodged that bullet. And this wasn't even the first time that mystical occult practices by this party were exposed. Back in 1960, a book in France was written called Le Matin des Magiciens, The Morning of the Magicians, which also wrote about top secret German research projects from WW2, which involved alchemy, parallel universes, extraterrestrial communications, and time travel. This structure found in Western Poland is all that allegedly stands of Die Glocke to this day, a sort of man-made Stonehenge that would have contained the bell inside of it during testing, also locally known as Muchołapka, Polish for Venus flytrap. What we do know is that this structure was part of the larger German Project Reese, a construction project consisting of many underground structures initiated by the infamous party in this exact region of Poland. And the true purpose of Project Reese remains unclear due to lack of documentation and an abrupt end to it when the war was over. This is also where it's said the bell was initially found, before being confiscated by the US for further study, rumored to have been transported to America, where they continued its development with all the scientists they brought over from Operation Paperclip. And many people even insist they actually saw the bell falling from the sky during one of its test runs in the 60s, the Kecksburg UFO incident of 1965, where a giant fireball was seen by hundreds of residents in northeastern USA before crashing in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. The US military quickly closed off the area during the time of the crash, and it was speculated to have been a test flight of Die Glocke, with many claiming that the craft they saw was bell-shaped, and is why today a bell monument stands on display near the Kecksburg fire station in memory of this incident. But of course, NASA later claimed that it was a Soviet satellite, Cosmos 96, that fell from space, which was the cause of this fireball. Kinda like when they publicly stated the Roswell UFO crash of 1947 was a weather balloon accident, and we found out decades later that was actually a cover story and they lied. But no, don't worry. It's the government. They're definitely telling us the truth this time.
I can't help but feel like this Bell device has too many superpowers being attributed to it to even make it remotely believable. I'm not saying that I'm certain there's no truth at all to any part of this story, but this thing is a free energy, zero emission compulsion system that can supposedly transport a human through time or into a different dimension while protecting you from anything on the outside that could be meaning you harm with some invisible force field that kills any planet it comes into contact with, and if a human being comes into contact with them, it makes them die from a blood clot, something that makes it look like a death from natural causes. This just sounds too good to be true. And if they had had a device like this, I have no doubt that they would have been mass producing these things to try to utilize them in the war. And for that reason, I'm out. But guys and gals, that's the end of our video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back soon with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. And don't forget to drop a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.